Hey, what's up? What's up? This is Steven. You're watching MOCHiPOP. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And we have a big announcement concerning the one and only Yasujirō Ozu, who's passed away, I believe, in 1963, if I'm not mistaken. But he's still dominating the film industry because a program announced for September 23, 2023 BFI soundtrack and BFI IMAX. So this is the title right here. All right, so it's all there. And Yasujirō Ozu, even though he's gone now, he's still in the memory of many people through his films, right? Like Family Affair. The films of Yasujirō Ozu accompanies the 120th wedding anniversary of the birth of the Japanese master filmmaker, focusing on the motive of domestically, which controlled his movies. This comprehensive period covers Ozu's earliest jobs, such as Flunked Butt in the 1930s, and I Was Born, but 1932, with to his much acclaimed late duration, finishing in his last movie, An Autumn Afternoon, assuming that's the right title, 1962, right? So the centerpiece or masterpiece of the period will certainly be a perfectly covered 70th wedding anniversary released at the Work of Art Tokyo Story, 1953, which placed fourth in Sight and Sound's greatest films of all time survey in 2022. The movie will certainly be released by BFI Distribution and choose movie theaters, like basically movie theaters of the choosing of them. Chosen movie theaters, certain movie theaters will have this film across the country from the 1st of September with a unique testing at the BFI IMAX or screening. On 24th September, the period will certainly likewise be gone with by a considerable collection of movies which are currently offered on certain like markets, right? Platforms. So so check those out. Make sure you search for those movies and see what they have. Maybe they have some on DVD. Hopefully they don't go in the vault, right? So that's the idea. And I wanted to see this because this is interesting. This is his kind of life and what he's done, all the movies he's been a part of. And again, I think The Family Affair is the one that's probably being screened. So he was born in 1903. 12th December 1963 was a Japanese filmmaker. He began his career during the era of silent films, and his last film were made in color in the early 60s. That's pretty cool. He got to get color in. Ozu first made a number of short comedies before turning to more serious themes in the 1930s. The most prominent themes of Ozu's work are family and marriage, and especially the relationships between generations. Ooh, okay. His most widely beloved films include late spring 1949 Tokyo Story. Feels like I've heard of that, and it feels like it's been remade. You can comment below if I'm right or wrong. 1953, and An Autumn Afternoon. Ooh, widely regarded as one of the world's greatest and most influential filmmakers, Ozu's work has continued to receive acclaim since his death. In the 2012 Sight and Sound poll, Ozu's Tokyo Story was voted the third greatest film of all time by critics worldwide. That's a big deal for a Japanese film to be worldwide acclaimed as third. What was the first and second? I'm curious. So in the same poll, Tokyo Story was voted the greatest film of all time by 358 directors and filmmakers worldwide. That's pretty great. So Tokyo Story did get voted the greatest film of all time. That's crazy. Ozu was born in the Fukagawa, Tokyo, the second son of merchant Teranosuke Ozu and his wife Asai. His family was a branch of the Ozu Yoromon merchant family from Izu, Issei, and Teranosuke was the fifth generation manager of the family fertilizer business, and Nihonbashi Asai came from the Nakajo merchant family. Ozu had 5 brothers and sisters, which is pretty normal back then. They had a lot more siblings. Asai devoted herself to nursing him, and Ozu made a recovery. So basically what happened was, I think I skipped something. Ozu had 5 brothers and sisters. When he was 3, he developed meningitis and was in a coma for a couple of days. Asai devoted herself to nursing him, and Ozu made a recovery. He attended Meiji Nursery School and Primary School. In March 1913, at the age of 9, he and his siblings were sent by his father to live in his father's hometown of Matsusaka and Mei Prefecture, where he remained until 1924. In March, and did judo. In March 19, I'm like way over here, guys. Sorry. In 1916, at the age of 12, he entered what is now Ijiyamada High School. He was a boarder at the school and did judo. I actually did judo in Japan for a day or a few hours. It was crazy. Lots of sweating. And it was really hot. And it was summertime. It was August. Anyway, he frequently skipped classes to watch films such as Kyo Vadis and The Last Days of Pompeii in 1917, which is really the early days of film. Like, can you imagine watching films back then? Crazy. He saw the film Civilization and decided that he wanted to be a film director. In 1920, at age 17, he was thrown out of the dormitory after being accused of writing a love letter to a good-looking boy in a lower class and had commuted to school by train. In March 1921, Ozu graduated from the high school. He attempted the exam for entrance into what is now Kobe University economics department, but failed. In 1922, he took the exam for a teacher training college, but failed it too. On the 31st of March 1922, he began working as a substitute teacher at a school in the Mie Prefecture. He is said to have traveled long journey from the school in the mountains to watch films on the weekend. In December 1922, his family, with the exception of Ozu and his sister, moved back to Tokyo to live with his father. In March 1923, when his sister graduated, he also returned to live in Tokyo. So entering the business film with the, let's see. So his uncle is acting as an intermediary. Ozu was hired by the Shokiku Film Company as an assistant in the cinematography department on the 1st of August, 1923. August is happening. This August. Against the wishes of his father, his family home was destroyed in the earthquake of 1923, but no members of his family were injured. That's good. On 12 December 1924, Ozu started a year of military service. He finished his military service on November 30th, my mom's birthday, 1925, leaving as a corporal. In 1926, he became a third assistant director at Shokiku. I wonder if back then if they were required to join the military, kind of like how Korea is with the guys. I think Japan doesn't have that, but I know Korea does currently. So you could comment below if you think that is it required for back then in the 1920s and 10s and 17s that Japanese people joined the military back then, because I know they were in a very, very huge transition. A lot of the transitioning were happening since the late 1800s, and the samurai were gone. They just had the military in Western styles. So I'm very curious to see if that was a thing back then. So comment below. So let's see. So yeah, he became the director. 22 became third assistant. Purchased another employee for jumping a queue at the studio cafeteria, and when called, the studio director's office used it as an opportunity to present a film script he had written. In September 1927, he was promoted to director in the Jidaigeki period film department and directed his first film, Sword of Penitence, which has since been lost. Sword of Penitence was written by Ozu with a screenplay by Kogo Nada, who would become his co-writer for the rest of his career. Nice. On September 25th, he was called up for service in the military reserves until November, which meant that the film had to be partly finished by another director. Ooh. So this is just going on in 1928. He had the head of the Shokiku studio decided that the company would concentrate on making short comedy films without star actors. Ozu made many of these films. The film Body Beautiful, released on 1st December 1928, was the first Ozu film to use low camera position, which would become his trademark. Ooh, okay. After a series of no-star pictures in September 1929, Ozu's first film was filmed with stars. Graduated, but starring Minoru Takada and Kinuya Tanaka, was released 1930, impressed Shiro Kitu enough to invite Ozu on a trip to the hot spring. In his early works, Ozu used the pseudonym James Maki for his screenwriting credit. His film Young Miss with the all-star cast was the first time he used the pen name James Maki, and was also his first film to appear in film magazine Kinema Jumbo's Best 10 at third position. That's pretty good. So you just kind of wartime happened, box office, critics 30, 40. So a lot happened, guys. All right, and let's see. Army. So I'm not gonna read all the history, guys, but they went through war. Films happened. Imperial Japanese Army, Second Sino-Japanese War. Let's see. So he had probably films coming out around that time. Maybe some of Ozu's published diaries covered his wartime experience between December 20th, 1938 to June 5th, 1939. Another diary from his wartime years, his explicitly forbade from publication, and the published diaries references to his group's participation in chemical warfare in violation of a Geneva Protocol through Japan had withdrawn from the League of Nations in 1933 can be found. For example, in various entries from March 1939 in other countries, his described Chinese soldiers in disparaging terms, likening them to one passing to insects. Although operating as military squad leader, Ozu retains his directorial perspective, once commenting that the initial shock and subsequent agony of the man as he hacked to death is very much like its depiction of period films. So a lot of when you're in war at that time, other Asian countries hated each other. China hated Japan. Japan hated China. They thought China was less than. China probably thought Japan was less than, right? Korea is probably minding their own business most of the time, but being occupied by China for a very long time as well. I would say, if anything, Korea has probably had the worst, because they were being bullied by China and Japan at different times, and then China gets mad when Japan bullies them. It's pretty interesting. So it's like, who has the best weapons, who has the best tactics, who has the best army. That's really what it was about for a very long time. And if Ozu, was Chinese, he'll be saying bad things about Japan. That's just the way it is. And so you can't be mad at Ozu for being the way most Japanese men probably were in terms of their attitude towards China. And look at China now. Look at China's attitude towards different races or different Asian groups, right? It's no different now. They just use Japan as an excuse, maybe, but at the end of the day, I think the younger people have a better chance of not being so against Japan or Korea being against Japan because they want to claim some sea areas, things like that. And like I said, we got to come together, guys. Got to come together, especially Japan and Korea. No excuses, guys. No excuses. So we can make movies like this with Ozu, people like Ozu's writing and all that stuff, right? So yeah, this is basically kind of a tribute type of video, but he had, so it's from 1927, Zangi no Yaiba, Sword of Penitence, which was lost. There's a lot lost from 1927 to 1929. And then that's not lost. There's a lot that's lost, but Fighting Friends, Japanese style. That's 14 minutes. Survivors. I graduated, but that survived. And so these are his earliest works. A Straightforward Boy, or Takan Kozu. All right, so these are English and Japanese titles. Tokyo no Kakuru, Tokyo Chorus, 1931, 1932, Amulete wa Mita Karedo. I was born, but that's still here. Yes, here. Okay. So yeah. Heidrasen no Ona, Dragnet Girl, Deke Gokoro, Passing Fancy, 1933, all that. 1934, Okigusa Monogatari, A Story of Floating Weeds. That's an interesting title. Here's Tokyo Story in 1953, Tokyo Monogatari, Tokyo Story, and after that, 1956, Sojun, Early Spring. Sorry guys, I thought that I had the list, but I didn't have the list on the screen. So this is why I need a producer. But yeah, so that's that. But anyway, so these are all the lists of his works. But yeah, this is his picture right here. This is one of his pictures. And yeah, so he's been doing a great job over his life. He may have had some controversial opinions on China and things like that during the war, but again, every Asian country was pretty much the same in their attitudes towards each other, and it's just the way it was back then, you know. And the winners did bad things to each other, and the losers had to suffer. That's just the way it was. And time passes, we're a little bit more civil, hopefully, and China still has a little bit of attitude, and Japan has a little bit of attitude too. So does Korea. You know, they all kind of do. They're like, oh, we're the best, but come on. So at the end of the day, when it comes to entertainment, though, I think we can't come together, right? Remember, at one time, Korea got upset at Japan for, so they started throwing away their PS5s or 4s, and I think it was PS4s at the time. And they started, because of some situation with the land or seas, who owns what. It happened with China too, with Taiwan. So, and they're like the same race. Like the same, they came from the same nation originally. I think Taiwan broke off a long time ago. They were never really founded by China. They were always their own little country a while ago. And Hong Kong is the same. And China is pretty much occupying Hong Kong, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but they have Korea and Korean Peninsula, I guess. But all types of stuff going on. And again, there's the political side and there's the entertainment side. And I think the entertainment side can definitely heal the Asian, in Asia, heal the Asian, I want to call it Asian hate, but, with each other, the self-hate. I'm just kidding. I have no idea, but you get my point. So if you're from Asia or if you're Asian, please, guys, don't hate it. If you're Korean, don't hate the Japanese and don't hate the Chinese, because you know what? A lot of them are just products of their own nation, and sometimes you got to get out of that and hopefully use entertainment to do things better. Like to come together with anime and K-pop, C-pop, T-pop, all right, J-pop. Let's go. So hope you guys like that. like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we will be back with more special episodes like this. Until next time, peace.